Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're immersing ourselves in something really profound, a collection of texts we're calling the Whisper of Creation. And they really fundamentally challenge how we think about language.
Completely. It's not just looking at words as, symbols or tools for getting a point across.
Right, it's deeper than that.
Much deeper. We're diving into the hidden power of intentional speech. This radical idea that words are actually vibrational vessels.
Vibrational vessels.
Yeah, designed for co-creation. That's the mission here, really, to understand how the human voice, drawing from scripture, mystical texts from all over, how it might be the most powerful tool we have for, shaping reality.
So we're mapping a journey from silent connection to needing words.
Exactly. From pure resonance to the necessity and the incredible potential of the spoken word.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where do the sources start? It seems to be before speech was even a thing. This idea of Eden.
Right. And crucially, Eden isn't presented as just, a garden somewhere.
Not just a place.
No. It's described as a state of consciousness, a state where humanity existed in, perfect resonance with the divine.
Perfect resonance. So perfectly in sync.
Precisely.
Right.
An alignment so complete that there was no room for misunderstanding, no doubt, no feeling of being separate.
Which means you wouldn't need to talk if you're already perfectly connected.
Why would you? The sources argue communication back then was purely through thoughts, intentions, vibrations. Spoken words would have been redundant.
The intention just was the message, instantly received.
Instantly. And this connects directly to that concept of the word, the logos, you see in John 1:1.
In the beginning was the Word.
And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. But let's pause there, like you mentioned before we started.
Yeah, the logos. Is this strictly a person, or is it more metaphysical in these sources? Like raw creative energy?
It's definitely presented as the latter here, the ultimate unmanifested creative energy, the blueprint almost.
Okay.
And since Genesis tells us humans were made in God's image.
Right, Genesis 1.27.
The idea is that humanity was naturally turned into that raw energy. We were speaking the language of creation without needing sound.
Which makes the description of God's voice so interesting. The sources highlight 1 Kings.
Yes, 1 Kings 19.12. God isn't in the wind, the earthquake, the fire.
But in a gentle whisper, a still small voice.
That detail is absolutely key. It suggests the highest form of communication, the divine frequency, is subtle, gentle, high frequency.
Because if it were loud,
it might just shatter everything. The original connection was quiet, profound, purely vibrational.
Okay, so everything's humming along on this high internal frequency. Then what? What break that? What made us need this clunkier thing called voice?
That's the pivot point. The source is called the fall, Genesis 3.
Eating the fruit.
Right. But it wasn't just about disobedience. It was the awakening of self-consciousness. Suddenly there's an I that's separate from the divine.
Duality, separation.
Exactly. And the immediate consequence, that perfect internal resonance,
No.
it fractured, the signal got fuzzy.
The direct line was basically damaged.
You got it. Direct resonance became unreliable, intermittent. And so language, the physical voice, they had to emerge. They became necessary tools to try and bridge that gap.
Tools for reconnection.
Yes. The voice box literally developed, according to this view, as an instrument designed to project intentional vibration back out into the world. It became the way to try and reconnect, to manifest intentions in a now separated state.
Wow. That reframes everything about why we speak. It's not just social, it's restorative. A spiritual necessity.
It became the channel for divine creation that humans could still access. That's why you see verses like Psalm 33 saying the heavens were made by the word of the Lord.
And by the breath of his mouth. Breath and word together.
Absolutely. The spoken word, powered by breath, it's presented as the tool for creation and now for co-creation from our side.
And what's striking is, this isn't just one tradition saying this, is it? The sources point to parallels everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. A cross-cultural consensus on sacred speech.
Sure.
Look at the Vedic concept of Vak.
Vak's speech is creative energy.
Exactly. Not just talk, but the actual primordial energy that birthed the cosmos.
And then there's Kabbalah, the Hebrew letters.
More than symbols. In Kabbalah, each letter is seen as a specific vibrational frequency, speaking them, meditating on them. It's like tuning into cosmic forces. You're actively shaping reality with sound.
You're doing something with the vibration.
You're enacting creation.
It's fascinating. Even the Tao Te Ching seems to acknowledge this, maybe the limitation of it. the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao.
Right. It hints that words, while necessary now, are still a step removed from that original silent, perfect understanding.
Which really raises the stakes for everything we say. If speech is co-creative,
Then it's never trivial. It can't be. And the sources are quite blunt about this. Matthew 12.36.
oh yeah, the warning about accounting for every empty word.
It's not just about lying or being mean. It's about the vibrational consequence of carelessly throwing energy around with your words. Every word matters.
So, if the voice is our tool for restoration, for getting back into alignment, how does the actual sound work? You mentioned modern science catching up.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. Ancient wisdom meets modern findings. Neurolinguistics, psychoacoustics, they show us that the tone, the frequency, how we modulate our voice, it has a direct impact.
On our brains, our emotions.
Definitely. Think about brainwaves. Normal talking, we're often in beta-focused, active, but practices like chanting, humming, things that use rhythmic sound and specific frequencies.
Yeah.
They're proven to synchronize brainwaves, often shifting people into alpha or theta states.
Which are the states for meditation, deep, calm, focused intention. Healing even.
Exactly. So when Psalm 19 talks about the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart being acceptable, or using prayer, affirmations, song,
It's not just psychological comfort.
no, it's a genuine physiological and spiritual alignment technique. It shows the voice box doing its post-fall job, projecting energy that harmonizes the inner state with that outer creative potential.
Okay, so the key then is intentional speech. Mastering the vibration requires mastering the intent behind it first.
Intent is the seed. Vibration is the delivery mechanism. That focus is critical.
Because the potential for misuse is huge. James 3 calls the tongue a fire.
A small spark setting a whole forest ablaze, capable of immense destruction or creation.
But the flip side, Proverbs 16 says, gracious words are a honeycomb.
Sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. That's the reward for mindful, aligned speech. The vibration itself carries healing potential.
And I like how the sources tied this back to the divine model. Romans 4, God calls into being things that were not.
And we, made in that image, are meant to do the same, using aligned vibration, our words, our intent to manifest potential into reality.
We have to be masters of our intent before we speak.
That's the discipline.
Okay, now, this next part is where things get, let's say, really specific and maybe even controversial for some.
Yeah.
This idea of hidden frequencies.
Right. Subtle vibrational codes embedded in certain sacred words. And the prime example the sources dive into is the Tetragrammaton.
YHWH.
YHWH. This is a huge insight, often missed in standard theology. The argument is that when this specific name for the divine,
Often translated I am or Yahweh.
right, when it got altered in translations or substituted with more generic titles like Lord or Adonai, something crucial was lost vibrationally.
And that something was. It's breath-based, high-frequency energy. Help me understand that. How is YHWH mechanically different from Lord?
Look at the letters. Yod, He, Vav, He. They're almost entirely aspirate, soft vowel sounds. There are no hard consonant stops.
Okay.
When you pronounce it correctly, it's almost pure breath. A sustained exhale and inhale engaging the diaphragm. It requires a certain kind of breathing, a continuous vibration.
Unlike Lord or God, where your tongue hits your palate or you close things off.
Exactly. Those use hard stops, lower vocal modulation. The sources argue this shift wasn't just semantic, it stripped away the original vibrational potency.
So the sound itself was different.
Profoundly. The original sounds of YHWH acted like sonic keys, physically connecting the speaker to divine resonance through the act of breathing the word. Replacing it, well, it obscured that frequency, limited direct access.
Wow, that's a massive claim. It suggests that well-meaning translations might have inadvertently dampened our connection.
That's the argument, and it doesn't stop there. The sources suggest this kind of vibrational downgrade affects our everyday language too, especially modern English.
How so? Etymology, cultural shifts.
Both. Think about the subtle, maybe subconscious weight of common phrases. We say things like goodbye, which historically has roots in God be with you, but now often carries a feeling of finality, of separation.
Okay, give us some more modern examples. Things we say without thinking.
How about I'm killing time? Or that just makes me sick, or I'm dying to see that movie.
Yeah, we say stuff like that all the time.
Even as idioms, the sources argue they embed low-frequency concepts, violence, illness, death, into our vibrational output, subconsciously but consistently.
So if I constantly say, ugh, I hate Mondays, I'm not just venting.
You're actively projecting a low-frequency rejection of that part of your reality. You're programming yourself and your environment with that vibration. Daily speech is not neutral.
Our habits, our casual phrases, they all carry weight.
Absolutely. Which leads us right to the culmination, what the sources call the Great Remembering.
Applying all this, making it practical. How do we start?
It starts with conscious practice, and often it has to start internally with our self-talk before it even comes out of our mouths.
Replacing negative inner chatter.
Exactly. Using intentional phrases, mantras. Consciously shifting from a vocabulary of lack to one of abundance, from failure to potential.
So instead of thinking, this is impossible, maybe shift to, how can I align with the solution here?
That's the work. The sources affirm this allows us to consciously co-create with the eternal word, like Proverbs 18 says.
The tongue has the power of life and death.
We choose which energy we broadcast. It's an active, moment-by-moment spiritual discipline. We choose life or death with our vibrations.
So wrapping this deep dive up, the big takeaway seems to be that the word, that original creative frequency, it wasn't actually lost.
Never lost, just unremembered, forgotten. Hidden under layers of habit, cultural noise, linguistic shifts.
But every word we speak with intention, it's an echo of that original creation.
It's tapping back into it. This realization changes everything, doesn't it? The universe responds not to how loud we are, but to the clarity, the purity of our intention and vibration.
And the sources suggest our evolution now isn't physical, but vibrational, frequency-based.
Yes, to remember that speech is sacred, that living in alignment means becoming,